The vibes are always right because it's Monday and you know what time it is. It's time for Numbers Don't Lie, powered by Sofascore. And this is the question for today. The samba, the scoring, and the smile is back. So we open up the conversation and say, is Endrick Brazil's best striking option in a year when we're going to a World Cup? Nico in the building, JayDee here as well. Nico Cantor, answer this question for the viewers at home. Is this Brazil's best number 9 option?
My feeling is no, not at the moment.
Okay.
I think he's a great substitute off the bench. Perhaps with Esteval the most potential. But Brazil is so rife with talent that it'd be crazy to say that Endrick is not the best option, because after his move from Real Madrid on loan with Lyon, the numbers speak for themselves. The way that he is so free, playing liberated, playing like that Endrick that won us over when he was at Palmeiras, operating in those same zones with the goals, with the assists. In the game against Lille, with that goal, 6 shots. Against Stade Brestois, he got that assist. I mean, Endrick is back to what we expected him to be, and he's doing so in Europe.
I love it. The smile is back, the samba is back, and the scoring is back. Perfectly in line with what Carlo Ancelotti apparently had said to him.
Yeah.
Move to France, go and get some first team minutes, go and get some goals. And the hat-trick against Metz was, I think, the icing on the cake to identify that he is back in full force and in full confidence right now. When he is on his job, though, even at 19 years old, because I feel like we're a little bit numb to him because he's been around for so long, he's unreal. You said it, he's talented, he's got it all, and he's the youngest Brazilian to have a hat-trick in terms of the top 5 leagues.
Right.
That really identifies how good he is right now. So it does open up the question, is he ready to step back into that shoes that we christened him with, right? As Brazil's future number 9.
Hold up. I think he's ready. I think he's always been ready, but you need him to be happy, because a happy Brazilian, that's when they're most scariest. Trust me, from an Argentine, that I've suffered Brazilian football for basically my entire life up until like this very recent past. Endrick is ready. From the very beginning, he knew it. From his Palmeiras days to then having a more important role to going to Madrid, he was just not getting the love, and he needed to leave to kind of find that refresh look. His numbers in 4 games versus 40 games are much better, right? And look at this. The fact that he's doing this over Ronaldo as the youngest Brazilian with a hat-trick in Europe's top 5, it means something. Not that Endrick is going to be Ronaldo, but that he's ready to take on the responsibility of being Brazil's 9 if called upon, or off to the side if he's as a right winger playing alongside of Vinicius or Raphinha. These are the options. Look at this, from big chance conversion on the y-axis to goals per 90. Endrick, since July, is pretty strong. Compare him to Igor Thiago, who's more of a classic number 9 as opposed to Endrick, who tends to drift right. Or a Pedro from Flamengo, that's more of a central forward. Caio Jorge, that was the top goal scorer in the Brasileiro. Carlos Vinicius is all the way up right, which is pretty impressive. The former Spurs, former Fulham, that only started playing at Grêmio starting this season, or the end of the Brazilian season, if you will. He actually scored a lot of goals there, but it's just, you have to think about it, because there's not that many spots. At best, 9 in the attacker's position, so there's going to be a couple of big names left out on the Brazilian national team going into the World Cup. So we want to analyze Endrick's numbers with Brazil to see if this guy, number 1, deserves to be in the national team, or if he can be very influential. 14 appearances, 3 goals. The numbers from the outset don't really tell you much, because there's so much talent there. I don't think there's any 9 that is going to have crazy numbers right now. Even Vinicius Jr. with Brazil.
I understand that, and I get it, but there's something that he does on a football pitch that only the eye test will tell you. Beyond the numbers, and it's the gravity. Because of how sharp he is, because of the flair, because of, his impact in the final third, he brings a lot of attention and a lot of eyes. And he might not necessarily jump out to you in terms of being your prominent goal scorer, or a leading goal scorer, like some of these other number 9s that are going to be competing for some of those positions. But he does have something that you cannot quantify. That's magic. You don't know what he's going to do, because he doesn't know what he's going to do. He trusts his instincts, and when he's in the final third, he really can be as clinical as any world footballer across the whole board.
Right?
He's very different.
So Igor Thiago, I know what I'm going to get from him. I haven't seen it with the Brazilian national team. João Pedro, I kind of know what I'm going to get from him. I've seen it a little bit with the Brazilian national team. Gabriel Jesus as well. Richarlison as well, right? Endrick is different. And especially with this Ancelotti vibe that the Brazilian national team wants to achieve. Imagine the best Real Madrids were when they were fluid.
Yep.
When it was Vinicius moving and interchanging with Rodrigo, Bellingham floating in there, even with the nines that they have, it wasn't too structured. And I'm feeling if even Raphinha can play at the 9, Endrick can play off of, or Estevao can play on the right. Like Cunha, for example. Cunha's a very fluid, mobile number 9. He scored that goal. He scored a goal against Argentina that was very similar to the goal that he scored against Arsenal. So I've seen this in Mateus Cunha. Caio Jorge, I'm sorry. Carlos Vinicius, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're making the World Cup squad. I would tend to say
probably not.
No.
And that's only because of the plethora of options they do have. When you start to really rattle through, I mean, you saw the first graphic, they are some of the most prominent number 9s in world football. João Pedro, Igor Tudor, and all the rest of it that they have.
Yeah.
But when I think about now some of the other options that they have, when you look at the lineup that they have, and then you think about the squad depth, Nico, opens up a whole different conversation. Because this position right here in João Pedro is now going to be a completely different conversation. We have Thiago in there. We have Igor Jesus in there who wants to turn man. I haven't mentioned Gabby Jesus, who wants to return in his own right.
And
Gabby Martinelli is another option. Neymar is a conversation in there. We haven't even spoke about some of the players that are playing domestically that you just alluded to that are scoring a number of goals. I think we can say definitively those 3 are fixed though, right? Would you agree? In Vinny, Raphinha, and of course Estevao, they're locks. They have to go. They're part of the squad.
Yes, do they have to go? Yes. I don't know if it's a lock that Estevao will be starting at the World Cup. If I had to choose, I would probably say yes. But there could be a world where Endrick is starting. I think Estevao and Endrick are the different guys. Obviously, Raphinha and Vinicius have superlative quality.
Yeah.
They're up there and they're going to be starting. But who's to say that you can't move Raphinha at the 9 and have Estevao or Endrick right behind, right? There are, on the attacking side, way too many options to choose from. And that's what Ancelotti's job is going to be this summer, to choose not the most talented 3 or 4 guys up top, but the 4 guys who understand each other to perfection to restore Brazil, because that's what Brazilian football has been craving for the last 20 years, to bring them back to where they deserve to be on the world status.
You know who I know who knows Brazilian football inside out? My brother right here, Mbizo Mzamane. Mbizo, I need your insight because I know you're consistently on the ground. I know you're hearing the debate. We're rattling through the number 9s and we've definitely still missed out a few that deserve to be wearing that gold jersey in terms of in the summer. But Mbizo, answer the question for us. Is Endrick going? Is this Brazil's new number 9 and should he lead the line for you?
Well, my brother, unfortunately, that question is something I have to break down into 2 parts. The first part is, does he deserve to go? And I believe that the simple answer to that question is yes. The other part of that question is, will he go? Whether he deserves it or not. And I think that's a more complex and complicated question. I mean, obviously, since he's touched down in Ligue 1, he's just been playing unbelievable football. But it's not unfamiliar football, as you guys have pointed out. This is the kind of football that we've expected of the boy for quite some time now, since his Palmeiras days, and it's what we expected he would deliver to Real Madrid. He just has unfortunately not had those opportunities. But what is clear about the boy is that when he's given a chance, he finds the back of the net. When he's given a chance, he impacts the game. He's done that at every single team that he's played for. When he's put on a jersey, he's been effective. So I believe he should be there. And yes, I believe he should be starting. I believe that since his debut, he's demonstrated that he's the kind of number 9 that Brazil needs. But unfortunately, when you don't have a run of games, especially with a coach like Ancelotti, who's already demonstrated a bit of a lack of faith in him, it will be difficult for him to slip into that starting lineup. But should he be there? I think it would be madness not to take him.
Oh, I like that.
Oi, Mbizo.
Madness not to take him. That's a quote.
Then what is your front 4 for Brazil? If you, Mbizo Ancelotti, who would you choose as your front 4?
Okay, I'm Ancelotti. I'm not worried about blowback from the fans. For me, I say Vinicius, Rodrigo, Estevao, and Endrick up top at number 9.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you then, Mbizo, some of the other names that have been thrown out here. You've already seen what Igor Thiago has done this year. He's been sensational, leading the line for Brentford. Igor Jesus is another one that has definitely entered the fray in terms of as a prominent number 9. Do you want to see options? Who are some of the other options that you definitely think should be in that Brazil squad?
Yeah, again, I think it's really difficult. It all depends on how Ancelotti really wants to approach his football, how he wants to play. But I think there are so many options. I think Cunha, João Pedro, these are players that are probably front-running. Domestically, you look at Caio Jorge, Victor Roque, who've been playing really, really well. But you've spoken about how so many players are versatile. Vinicius Jr. can play at the 9. Rodrigo can play at the 9. I'm not so sure, to be honest, about Raphinha and Esteban, but you have so many players that have been used in that position. So I think some of those guys are front runners. I am personally a really big fan of Igor Jesus. I don't think he's the kind of player that's going to, be extremely prolific, but he gives a little bit something different. He holds up the ball so fantastically well, and I think he is the kind of player that we should also be looking at. There's just so many options.
Wait, you weren't sure about Raphinha? Let me get that right. You didn't put him in your attack that when I asked you, why?
Raphinha, for me, I think he's a decent player, had some good seasons, but I don't think he's an international caliber player. And I don't think at the number 10, he's the kind of player that will be effective. And I think Vinicius Jr., he's underperforming. Rodrigo, Esteban are players that are better wide than he is. And he's simply just not a 10.
Wow, I just heard it right there. Quotation. Raphinha is not an international level player. Remember he said that first. Maybe he sees something we don't see. You're smiling. But
I can't. I think Raphinha is amazing. I think he's simply amazing.
No, Raphinha is amazing. There's no doubt about it. But look, it's to you. We want to find out from your discussion how you feel about it. We just heard the wealth of options that Brazil have.
O que está falando esse Mbizo Mzamane and numbers don't lie pelo Sofascore?
Oh, não tenho medo.
South Americans are going and doing South American things. This is my call to action to you, though. Get involved in the comments. Who should lead the line for Brazil? What do you think? And remember, numbers don't ever lie.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.